Tonight, many Valley businesses are thrilled they can begin welcoming customers back, but the financial struggles are far from over. So today, I brought together all our chambers of commerce for an in-depth discussion on the issues affecting local businesses and what needs to happen. Thanks everyone for being here representing each of our Valley's chambers of commerce. I'd like to start by introducing all of you. From the Palm Springs Chamber, Nona Watson. From the Rancho Mirage Chamber, Katie Stice. From the Palm Desert Area Chamber, Pam Scannell. From the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber, Josh Bonner. And from the LGBTQ Chamber of the Desert, David Powell. Obviously, this has been a challenging and difficult time for many businesses throughout our valley, but I'd like to hear from each of you, just how bad is it? Are we in danger of losing some of our businesses? And what types of businesses are you concerned about the most right now? Let's start with Nona Watson from the Palm Springs Chamber. Nona?
Well, thank you, Peter. Thank you for having us. And yes, we're all very concerned of how this is going to affect. As you know, Palm Springs, we have a lot of smaller businesses, especially in our downtown, and we're very fearful that we'll lose some of them in these trying times. And I think it's all going to depend on how soon we can get everything open. But, you know, we do our best. We've been advertising for our small businesses and helping them with their loans, with their PPP and their EIDL loans. Doing everything we can do to market them and put them on our Facebook and encourage people to shop local, even if it is just curbside, and of course to eat in our local restaurants. So I think that's what chambers are doing now, is we're focusing on our members, on our businesses and our cities, and making sure that we do whatever it takes until they can open their doors again.
Katie Stice from the Rancho Mirage Chamber.
Hi, Peter. Thanks for having us. It's definitely a challenging time for everyone. This time has been devastating for small businesses all across the nation, especially here in the Coachella Valley, being so tourist driven. U.S. Chamber is projecting that a quarter of all businesses will close for good. And that's just staggering. And so kind of like what Nona was saying, right now, as chambers, I think we're expected to be experts in a lot of fields right now, whether that is how furloughs work or how loans work, who can qualify, who can't qualify. So we're working nonstop around the clock to help these small businesses either figure out what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. Things change hour by hour. So we're all just trying to be resources for them at this point and really trying to get their doors open with a lot of consumer confidence in mind as well.
Pam Scannell from the Palm Desert Area Chamber.
Thank you, Peter. Yes, there are a lot of challenges that our businesses are facing. And I do believe that there will be a number of them that do not come out of this. They will not survive. I think the types of businesses that may face some of the largest struggles are those that are going to be opening later in the different stages. So the salons, the different restaurants and bars where they're going to be required to social distance, and that's not normally a part of how they operate. So I think that's where some of the dangers lie. We are looking for the guidance on the regulations and requirements for businesses in regards to how they need to provide for their employees with PPE equipment, etc. So that's the struggle right now, I believe.
Josh Bonner from the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber.
Yeah, I think the stress is real. My friend Joe Wallace and his team over at Cvqa have been tracking some of these numbers. The last study they released had unemployment climbing above 30%, which we believe we're at right now. A potential of losing 4,000 local businesses plus. So, you know, that is a huge impact. Our chamber has been doing a lot of what the other chambers have been doing, trying to serve as a resource. We're also very focused on policy. We understand that ultimately the policy framework will have to be in place to reopen the economy. And so we've been working with the county and the state to try to get that done so we can get this economy reopened as quickly as possible.
David Powell from the LGBTQ Chamber of the Desert.
Thanks, Peter. Yes, I agree with all of everyone else with what they're doing, how we're doing it, and really trying to keep our members and our community and our businesses motivated, and to hopefully see the light that is coming at the end of this tunnel, and to really be this resource to find, whether it's loans or whether it's PPE equipment that's coming out, things like that, that really hopefully give them that direction and that staying calm.
All right, thanks everyone. My next question for all of you, what needs to happen to help our businesses get back on their feet? And is enough being done for them? Let's start again with Nona Watson from the Palm Springs Chamber.
Well, I think Josh, we had this discussion just this morning. I mean, we need to get our businesses open. That's what I feel. I mean, we need to get them open safely. We need to get people here. We need to get our visitors back. You know, in Palm Springs, we depend on tourism, and this is what we're waiting for. We're waiting to have our hotels open. I know our casinos are opening, and now if we can get our restaurants opened, even if it's just social distancing, open safely. I did take a trip to Arizona, and I was able to see exactly how they're doing it there. I just got back last night, and it's working beautifully. You know, everybody feels safe. You can see everything that's in place. You can talk to the workers and see them washing their hands constantly, wearing masks, doing everything that they can. There's all kinds of different ways where they're taking your credit cards now. They're not taking cash. There's really, really creative ways to keep people safe. And I think as chambers, we can gather that information, make sure our businesses have it. And also we can gather the resources that they need and the products that they need to help them open safely, to be a resource for that.
Katie Stice from the Rancho Mirage Chamber.
Sure, just echoing what Nona said. I mean, everyone wants to open as thoughtfully and safely and carefully as possible. So knowing what those guidelines are in advance is really important. Knowing what kind of supplies you're going to need, whether that's masks, hand sanitizer, 6 feet apart, following what the essential businesses that are open now are doing, helping those folks to get supplies, find the supplies, the plastic partitions, whatever it might be, communications and training. Everyone wants to really safe, right, with their own staff, with their employees, with their customers. And we want to be ready so that as those phases happen, the businesses don't have to wait. They've got their supplies ready and they're ready to open the doors. So we're working pretty closely with, I know the County of Riverside put out a reopening framework. And so pushing that out to the members, talking with them one-on-one. There's a lot of one-on-one conversations happening so that they feel really confident and comfortable when it comes to opening. But the problem is we're just still not there yet. And so everyone's just waiting for that time.
Pam Skinnell from the Palm Desert Area Chamber.
Yes, we'd all love for these businesses to open and quickly, but there is the element of safety that's required and the guidelines that people are looking for, and of course the access to the supplies. I mean, we know from our own personal experiences when we go into a store to buy disinfectant wipes, they're not to be seen. They're barely to be found anywhere. So how is a business to acquire them as well? I've been making a lot of online inquiries, phone calls, etc., in trying to access this equipment. But we also need the guidance on what equipment employers are going to need to supply to their employees before we can even try to access them, because it's going to take time for them to come. We have to be able to know what they are. We have to be able to order them, get them, etc. Now, the Palm Desert Area Chamber is looking to become a hub of PPE supplies for local businesses, and we're working very hard on that project right now. That's going to be very important.
Josh Bonner from the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber.
Yes, we have a couple of issues that we're up against. I've been serving with the county task force. We've been trying to address them. One of the things that businesses are struggling with right now is it's great that there's been loan programs available to them, but the reality is a loan program just kicks the can down the road. There is a gap there of funding because the revenue sources have been shut off. So I was very proud to see that Riverside County is moving forward with one of our recommendations. They're going to take $50 million and allocate it to small business grants, not just loans. We're hoping it'll supply up to $10,000 per business to help to fill the gap that's been there. We have our guidelines in place for businesses to operate. Those just cleared the county health department. They should be released very soon. We're looking forward to that. And then, of course, sourcing is going to be an issue as well. And we know that the private marketplace right now for sourcing PPE is a very difficult place to navigate. A lot of it isn't available. And so what we're trying to do is incentivize local Riverside County manufacturing, those that have the capacity to repurpose and resource, so that as a county, we can create our own PPE and source it internally. I think that's going to be an important long-term strategy as we proceed down this road.
David Powell from the LGBTQ Chamber of the Desert.
Once again, I agree with everyone and what our activities are and trying to be a hub and obtain this PPE. What I'm really trying to do too is talking about during the payback of either the loans or reporting of the advances and the grants, trying to get our members to plan ahead for that. They're coming up on that timeline, making sure they have the resources to understand that. And then the step further is how can we have them do a plan for when they're ready to open and have everything in place, whether that's bringing their employees back, how do they bring their employees back within guidelines, and to make sure that once we get open, that we stay open as we move down the rest of the year.
All right, so just to recap, let's do a quick show of hands. Raise your hand if you think not enough is being done right now to help Valley businesses. 1, 2, 3,
Sure, yeah.
4, 5. Unanimous. Okay, raise your hand if you think that it's time for all our businesses to fully reopen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unanimous again. Finally, raise your hand if you think by this time next year, everything will be back to normal for businesses, just like it was before the pandemic hit. None of you. All right, thanks everyone.